Hola, buenos días.
Buenas tardes, buenas noches.
This is Barb.
And this is Estela.
And welcome to
Cafecito
and Crime. How are you doing today? I'm over here trying to clean my glasses porque no veo ni madre.
Mine are clean.
First of all, second of all, why has my eye been twitching this whole day? Una más, está virulo la verga.
El derecho?
El derecho.
It's because,
no veo
shit's
ni
rough
madre.
right now.
Huh?
Shit's rough on them streets.
The streets have been rough lately.
Yeah.
This whole month, this whole year has been rough. Has been really rough. And I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. How has your day been?
It's all right. Chill.
No.
Hey, dinner. Do you need like a...
I don't know what's going on.
Here's a Kleenex. Go like this.
No. Yeah, ahora sí.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll pull my Kleenex back, I guess.
Yep. I don't want your Kleenex. I think I can see now. I was just kind of like a little smudge where donde me agarré.
No se te quitaba.
Pero anyhow, I hope everyone's having a good day. I am dealing with my eye twitching. I cut my finger yesterday. My cat decided that she was going to take the actual chicken that I was cooking. Not even the chicken que ya estaba cooked. No.
The
raw chicken. I was chopping it up to make dinner, and she started running with the chicken. So when she was running, I caught her, and it was in her mouth. So then I had to, and then me corté.
You didn't put the knife down when you rubbed her?
No, because I was trying to grab her at the same time, and she
As
was
you were
running,
cutting.
and I was cutting, and then, whatever. And then the Dallas Mavericks traded Luka.
That's where it's been a rough year. Are you even a Mavericks fan?
I was a big Mavericks fan when I lived in Dallas. I kind of let it stop, following after, Dirk left and all of those were the original ones. And then when Luka came on, I remember my nephew was really excited about it, because they're like, oh, this is going to be it, championship, blah, blah, blah. And then, he was a good player. I loved the fact that he spoke Spanish, he was cool, whatever. I wasn't a fan of theirs, tampoco,
But no vas a decir que...
Pero, tampoco I hated them. But
even
still.
me that I don't watch basketball, I was even shook by the trade. I was like...
And I just watched a video right now, and so does Stella. He's like sitting on the Lakers side, because he's... at the game, a Laker now. And he's like clapping, like he doesn't even know, like, is he supposed to be happy for them? Like, cause they scored or whatever. And I feel bad for him.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward, pero pues it is.
Awkward.
It hasn't even been a week, so.
Y el otro, he's already
Wasn't there
missing.
A story that said that he had just bought like I don't know how much, like a
$13 million home, yeah.
Like the week before or something.
Like literally a week before.
It was still in escrow or some shit.
Yeah. I'm like, I hope he kept receipts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ni mos que le digan que no. Hey, you can have two homes.
Well,
you can come back to Dallas and chill with your homies.
I don't think I wouldn't want to come back to Dallas.
No, but chill with the homies, not with, you're not going to hang out with the owner of the team.
No.
Que se va a la verga, Yeah,
but they have money. The homies can come and visit me where I'm at.
Yeah, but the town loves you.
And not only that, pero he had just got engaged and stuff.
And then your nephew had a really hard time.
My nephew had a hard time. Like, he took out all his posters de las pinches walls and shit. Like, he was having a hard time.
You got rid of the blanket.
Yeah. Yeah, it was because he was a big Luka fan. I mean, everybody was. Like, everybody is still.
Yeah.
Pero ahorita, like, when I saw him right now, I'm like, pobrecito. Yeah. I feel bad for him.
It looks like he feels out of place.
Like
you
out
were
of place.
saying. Yeah.
And then Anthony Davis is already out of game.
Yeah.
So the Mavericks are like, good job, guys.
Didn't they just lose to I don't know who by like 60 points or some shit? Was it the Cavaliers or something like that?
The Cavaliers.
Yeah.
So I don't really follow basketball, but that was a big deal because it affected my nephew.
Everybody knew Luka.
Yeah. And everybody knew Luka. I mean, it's like you go to Dallas and he's everywhere. Like, my sister was like, he owns half of Dallas here, like he's a big deal. So, but anyway.
Is he like the equivalent of what J.J. Watt was to the Texans?
Andale. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And back in the day, whenever the Cowboys were bigger, the equivalent of that was like the quarterbacks and that kind of. Yeah, ahorita no gives a fuck about the Cowboys. Yeah, pero
I was like,
tantas vergas, vale? Damn, that's a lot of vergas. That's a shitload of vergas. Anyhow, so I hope everyone's having a good day. Besides all of that, my finger hurts and my eye twitching. Everything was good.
But your belly's full.
But I'm full. Estela bought me dinner. Thank you. It was girl dinner because my husband left with my son to go watch movie. And it was just me and Estela and my daughter. And we were like, what do you want? And then Estela said,
what's for dinner?
Estela said, Panera. So then we're like, the Pandera bread?
¿Cómo?
The Pandera bread?
Yeah.
So that's what we ate. It was good.
Yeah, me too.
I hadn't had Pandera bread in a long time.
I love Pandera bread.
Estela buys it a lot. I don't. I don't know about that. I mean, their salads kind of got a little lacking for a little bit. Pero
yeah, but they came back with the
no, they
new
came
menu.
back. Y luego cuando andaba muriéndose la gente que se tomaba las pinches energizing lemonades.
Lemonades, yeah. Well, they took those away.
They took them away porque
yeah. I wonder how those lawsuits ended up, like how they settled. I should probably look into that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Toda pinche random.
Yeah, that is random. But anyhow, so today we're going to somewhere. I think we've been to South Korea before. Have we?
Yeah.
Korea or
no? I think no. Yes.
Have we? I don't know. But anyway, we're going to South Korea.
We've been to Japan, but not
been to Japan. Yeah. We're actually going to a city by the name of Busan. Busan, South Korea. So
there is a town. I mean, obviously, but there is a movie. It's called Train to Busan. I heard it's really good. Like, it makes people emotional.
Well, maybe, yeah. I mean, Busan, like when I looked it up, a lot of the stuff that I found was very, they're very like cultured. So they have a lot going on there.
Oh, yeah,
so
I'm sure. South Korea.
Yeah. And not only that, anything Korean right now. My daughter is obsessed with anything Korean. I think she thinks she is a Korean, pero le faltó el coloricito because she's a little dark for the Koreans.
Yeah.
Pero we just went to Koreatown this weekend and we went to H Mart and it was the shit. I mean, it's like magical. You go in there and there's everything you
could possibly think of.
Yeah, it's like all of the fucking noodles you can think of, and you're like, what?
Like you don't even know where to look,
No, it is really impressive to see that they have a spot like that.
Didn't we say we were going to look up si había otra in town?
Yeah, I think there's one. One that we have down the street here, donde mi suegro compra las panzas de puerco.
Yeah, not the Chinese. No, not the Chinese like markets.
No. This is
like
H Mart.
Meat markets.
Like, yeah. So
H Mart.
Mm-hmm. And then I know that for a fact
there's only two in Houston actually.
Yeah. There's one like on Bissonnette or something like that.
Hold on, H Mart Houston.
Pero let me tell y'all, if y'all want to find some
there's three.
Shit that you're like, what the hell? And their fucking fruit and everything looks so fresh. It is so beautiful. Tres. Nomás hay tres. Pero it's really awesome there. It really is. And obviously Korean skincare is the rave right now. So my daughter, that's all she talks about. So we did go. Pero we're going to go to Busan.
Busan? I think.
Busan? I don't know. I heard it try
your best, sister.
Busan? South Korea.
Do you want me to pull it up real quick?
No,
pronunciation?
Not really. All right. Well, if you would like to come with us to Busan, go ahead and grab your cafecitos.
And let's get started.
So we're going to go over a few fun facts or random interesting facts. I thought they were really sweet. So Busan has the world's largest department store.
Oh.
Yes. And this is actually record by the Guinness World Record. Recorded by the Guinness World Record. There's a lot of records. Anyway, so it's called Sinsei Centium City in Busan, and they hold the record as the biggest department store by Guinness World Record, and it has everything that you can ever imagine.
Wait, do they have like plungers?
I'm pretty sure. Anything. It's a department store.
Yeah,
but they have like high-end stuff, like ropa y todo eso.
Sí. Well, yeah, it's a department
and they
store.
have an ice skating ring in it and a spa. Yeah. A spa. It's not a mall. It's one department store.
Una. Like, imagine the Galleria, but not as a Galleria, just a one single department store.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So that's it. Like,
do you know the square footage of the...
No, I didn't look all of that, to be honest.
I'm going to look it up. I am interested in...
And the second one that we have is going to be that...
I'm like, do you know the square footage?
Yeah, like this bitch thinks I'm an architect and shit. Busan is actually home to the International Film Festival, also known as the BIFF, one of Asia's most prestigious film festivals. It is held there in the fall. And it turns the city into a hub of filmmakers and movie lovers from all around the world.
Ooh.
Yeah. So actually, there was something that I read about also this place. Like, I didn't realize that there was so many, like there's like an ocean there. They have a beach.
Like an indoor, obviously.
No. A beach. Like there's a beach in Busan.
Oh, I thought you were talking about inside the department store, bitch.
No, bitch. Ya te pasaste. No, they have like a actual. So that's like a beach going area.
You want to know the square footage?
How much?
3,163,000 square footage.
Yeah,
is the department store.
I can. Yeah.
Surpassing Macy's flagship Herald Square in New York City in 2009.
Wow. That's why they're fun, interesting, random facts.
Yeah.
And right now, while you said that, my eyes started twitching again. So we're going to 2023, May 27 to be exact. A taxi driver picks up a young woman at around 3 a.m. She's standing there with her suitcase, and before he let her in, he popped open the trunk, and he's like turning around to be like, hey, do you need me to help you with that?
Yeah.
And she puts her suitcase in the back. But when he offered to get off, ella le dice, no, I can do it. But she was looking like she was struggling.
Okay.
Right? So he asks, where are you going? Now, here's where it gets a little bit weird, because instead of going to the airport or a bus station or algo así, she was going to the Nakdong River.
At 3 a.m.
At 3 a.m. So Nakdong River is, the river is there, but wow. Pero también tiene un park that's right next door.
Okay.
So she was gonna want to be dropped off at the park. So the driver was kind of suspicious about this, right? So he's kind of like, what the fuck? But he still drove her there. He did what he was supposed to as a paying customer. Mm-hmm. When they got there, she gets off. And once again,
le dice,
te ayudo with the bag. And she's struggling, and he's like, no, it's okay. I got it. So she got her stuff. She pays him, and she starts walking into the dark because it's nothing but a wooded area.
It's 3 in the morning.
It's 3 in the morning. So he sat back, and he was just thinking to himself, bro, probably not bro, pero I don't know what their language is, but I mean, their words are. Pero he was probably like, dude, this isn't right. She looked young.
He didn't get a good feeling.
No, and she looked young. She looked like she was like in middle school or like
chiquita.
Yeah, like chiquita, and like early high school. So se miraba young la muchacha. He decides to take a smoke break. He's like, okay, let me take a smoke break. A ver qué pedo. And I'm pretty sure he didn't say qué pedo, but whatever. And then he figured that she might need a ride back. So se quedó allí. So he started smoking. And I mean, obviously, if she was going to need a ride back, there was nobody else at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
So 15 to 20 minutes, he says, passed. And he sees her walking out of the park again, con el suitcase behind her.
Ya iba saliendo.
Regresando. And this time, she wasn't struggling with the suitcase.
Yeah.
Like, she was kind of like bouncing,
yeah.
Whatever. So it was almost like flying behind her. Like she was walking fast. And she asked him for a ride back. At this point, he doesn't know if she can tell that that was the same taxi that she had taken before.
Okay.
So she gets on just as normal. And he was like still with this gut feeling in his stomach. So he was looking at her through the rearview mirror. And he just had a bad feeling about this. So he no se quedó a gusto. So he contacted the police. Now, there's no details on what happened after that or how anything came to where we're about to talk about. But he did call the police, and the police came. When they got to where the taxi was, they asked him what happened and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, there was this woman. She got off, tells them everything that happened. So they actually were able to contact the woman and found her, or the girl.
Yeah.
And when they asked her what was in the suitcase, she said it was her clothes. So they said, okay, well, open it for us. When they opened the suitcase, there's visible blood on the suitcase. Mm-hmm. They asked, well, what is this blood? She said, I lost a baby and I put the baby in the suitcase to get rid of it. I'm young. I didn't want to have a baby. I had a miscarriage, and I went to go drop the baby off in the river. So saying that in a sentence. So then when she was brought into the hospital, because they were like, oh, well, let's get her help. Obviously they checked her. She was never pregnant. So she had never had a baby.
Or given birth. Or
actually, there was no blood anywhere on her. So where was the blood from, right? So this is the story of Ms. Jung Yoo-Jung.
Okay.
She did have a body in her suitcase, but it was a woman. When the police went back to the park to investigate, the body of a young woman was found. Now, let's talk about how Jung Yoo-Jung would have met this woman, right? So I'm going to call her Yoo-Jung because that is her first name. Now, in Korea, it's illegal for victims' identities to be released unless you give full consent.
Like from a family member?
From a family member or something like that, saying that, yes, you can. So we're going to call her, I just made up a name, Tess.
Okay.
This is going to be her name for today.
This is a victim that was in the suitcase that we later come to find out.
Yes. So we're about to find out how did Yoo-Jung was able to find, or how did she come across this
body?
Body. So here's a little bit of background. All the sources that I used to compile this, most of them were cases that say that the information was in Korean.
So it needs to be translated?
Some translation might be a little bit off. So if I'm kind of off on that kind of stuff, it's because I was just going based on that.
The
translation. Yeah. But this is kind of like an overview of what was released. Like I said, Tess is what we're going to call her. She was 26 years old, and she was a freelance worker and a university student. She was an English tutor, and she loved her job. Mm-hmm. She said that it was not, and even though it's not an easy job to have in Korea as a tutor, especially an English tutor, because, the parents are very strict. And they want their kids to be...
Was she from... Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Pero ella, was she from South Korea too?
Yes,
okay.
Mm-hmm. So, they're very... Oh, Lord. Excuse me.
Are you good?
I think so.
Do you need water?
No, I'm good. So, they're very,
They have different...
particular about their children's education.
Yes.
So it's a hard kind of fulfillment to have as a tutor or even as an English tutor, as in any tutor.
Yeah.
Like I said, we are in 2023 and, as we know, there's an app for everything. Mm-hmm. So there was an app to help parents find the perfect tutor for your children. Okay. Mm-hmm. On this app, you could message back and forth with the tutor, ask any questions that they might have. They have a profile. They do background checks on the tutors. Anything for a parent to be able to pick the perfect match tutor for their children. So Tess was pretty busy and she had a lot of clients. So, because she was kind of, I guess like they would rank them to see who would...
rate my professor?
Yeah, rate my professor, I guess. And so she was messaging a lot of people back and forth, but there was one particular middle school child that she kept messaging back and forth, this parent, right? Mm-hmm. It was a mom. And she was really adamant in hiring Tess. At first, Tess had turned her down. And Tess said, no, her house was kind of far from the student's house. So she said, you know what? You're far away from me. Thank you so much for offering, but I don't think that it's a good fit.
It's going to work, yeah.
Yeah. And she didn't want to travel.
Yeah.
So...
Well, not travel that much, right? Because she would have to go to la casa de ellos, right? Okay.
Well, not only to their house, but they would meet up, or they would have to like come in an agreement. Okay. And for her to travel, she was a student and all these things.
Yeah,
so
I'm sure she probably had like a lot of other clients.
So once again, the mom kept insisting. So she even She even offered the mom herself to bring her daughter to Tess's house.
Oh, okay. Oh.
And the mom seemed desperate, so she really wanted to have Tess. I don't know, maybe she saw something in Tess. Maybe she had a test coming up. Maybe her daughter really needed this English tutor, right?
Yeah.
So they went back and forth, and Tess just felt kind of bad because she's like, okay.
She's trying really hard.
She's trying really hard, and she really might really need somebody. So she said, okay, she loved to tutor someone, so she said, fine.
She accepted.
Pero
they accepted on the condition que la señora iba a traer a su hijo o hija.
That's where I'm going.
Okay, sorry.
So on May the 26th, 2023, at around 6 p.m., Tess had already finished her dinner and everything. And this is around the time that they had settled that they were going to meet.
Okay.
So La Niña was going to come, her mom was going to bring her over to Tess's house, right? So Tess was clearing up, y estaba limpiando allí, she had ate or whatever, and she hears the knock on the door. So she looks outside, and I know that this is 2023, but in Korea, there's cameras everywhere. Mm-hmm. Like, they're very high technology, cameras. I'm going to see what you're doing. We got this. So she looked outside in her camera, and there stood a girl, and she was wearing a school uniform, blue, and round glasses, and her hair was like in a bob, así, hasta aquí, and it was flicked out. You know how the girls would flick out their bobs? Mm-hmm. And Tess opens the door. And she walked her over to the table to start helping her, tutoring. There was no reason for Tess to imagine that the little girl that was at the door or even in her apartment was not who she thought it was. So who was at her apartment? Yes. Jung Yoo-Jung.
Yeah, I was like, wait.
Yes. She was there. And the uniform that she had purchased, she purchased it at a thrift store. And under her jacket, she had a knife.
Oh, la verga.
So not after that, Jung Yoo-Jung, she began to stab Tess.
Out of nowhere?
Out of nowhere. And she literally stabbed her multiple times. But according to reports, she focused on her stabbings on a particular side of Tess's neck. It was like she knew where she was supposed to stab her, right? She stabbed Tess 20 times and on that same spot alone. Like just on that spot, 20 times. On top of that, she didn't stop there. She kept stabbing her. And she stabbed her, I read somewhere 100 times. And in other places, I read 110. I don't know how that was.
Bitch, even then, just 3 digits?
Yes. She stabbed her everywhere, including the palm of her hands. Like, you really were worried about the palm of her hands? But
that's so crazy. I wonder, I don't know if you're going to get there, but just thinking of stabbing somebody, not just once, okay, those veces, even when we hear like 10 times, oh, this person was stabbed 10, 16 times,
that's a lot.
30,
100?
100, and she's so tiny. I haven't looked her up, but if she can be mistaken for una niña en uniforme, like a student.
Yeah. So she successfully, unfortunately, did kill Tess at that moment. After that, guess what she did?
Se largó?
No, she stayed and she made herself comfortable. And she started drinking. We're not sure if she had the drinks with her or did she buy the drinks or were
did
they
she start
Tess's?
Drinking? Yeah.
She started drinking and she started to act like that was her apartment. She even changed into the clothes.
The Tess.
Yeah, she changed her. She se cambió la compa. Now, this is the reason that I started to research this case was because of the CCTV footage.
Oh.
Because Jung Yoo-Jung is coming down the street out of Tess's apartment, Estela. And she is everywhere, bitch. So by this time, it's like 7 o'clock, whatever. It's still kind of light outside. This...
Jung Yoo-Jung.
Yeah, it's Jung Yoo-Jung.
Oh,
no, Jung Yo is Yoo, and then Jung, Jaung. And she is like walking, like she's walking her dog, bitch. And she's like this, look, like almost hopping. Like I can't even explain it.
Like skipping?
Like skipping, bitch. Like straight up. So then she goes from Tessa's apartment, goes to her apartment. She then walks back and she grabs a suitcase, the black suitcase, and then she goes back into a taxi. They drive her. She went back to the apartment. Then she went to the grocery store. She went to the store. She bought bleach. She bought bags and she bought a knife. Okay. Then she goes back to the apartment. I'm not like, if anybody could understand the reason, it was because of the way that she was literally skipping.
Yeah.
And her hair was like bouncing, bitch. Like she was
en la ropa de Tess.
La ropa de Tess. It was like she was like humming like like that, like straight up.
Como like if she's just
chilling, know? After that, I guess is when she dismembers the body into pieces because she went back into Tess's apartment y ya no salió for a while. So she's in the part and she doesn't come out of the house or the apartment until that 3 o'clock in the morning. By this time she has the suitcase
that she's struggling with.
And we're thinking that that's where the body parts are.
Yes.
Now, there's not a exact reason of what body parts she had in there or...
If it couldn't have been all of Tess's.
That's what they're saying. They're saying that they're not sure. But after we go back to the taxi driver, he dropped her off. She scattered the fucking body parts como si fueran Easter eggs, dude. Like she would just pick one out and then one over there and one over there. And now this park was a place that Yoo-Jung, she would visit often.
So she was familiar with
So she was familiar and she also knew that enough of the place that it was filled with like small bugs and small organisms that would speed up the decomposition of the body.
Yeah.
So she had a reason why she took her to this park, right?
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for that taxi driver, they wouldn't have found the body.
Yeah.
Because all of this would have been decomposed in one day, right? Because of...
gone, because se lo hubieran comido, right?
Se lo hubieran comido or whatever it is. There is a show called in Korea, I don't know, it was translated, called Want to Know That. And it was kind of like one of those like CSI or one of those, basically like 48 hours, ¿verdad? Mm-hmm. And it revealed that there was another witness that did see Jung Yoo-Jung throw away bloody blankets and bloody leggings into a trash bin. Mm-hmm. So he was talking to them and les estaba explicando que
they had seen
that she was throwing that away. Now, when did they finally arrest her, right, is our question. So when they did finally arrest her, they don't know the identity of Tess.
Right. Well,
because they're like, okay, so who did you
dismember? Because even at this point, like you said, and you don't even know if it was all of Tess, you know?
Yeah, you don't know. So they questioned her and they asked her, okay, so what did you do last night? And she said, nothing, chilling. She was very calm, like extremely calm and collected.
I bet. I mean, if she was skipping down the street to go buy no sé qué, wearing somebody else's clothes that you just murdered and then dismembered.
And you stabbed 100 times.
Yes.
And then they, like, nothing came out of her mouth but lies. This girl was a liar. She's a liar, in the words of my nephew. Not long after they were questioning her, they did find Tess's ID. So she actually had it with her. Mm-hmm. So they took the ID along with some bloody clothes and stuff like that. And it was left near the park. With that ID, they went back to the apartment of where it was. And that's where they found more blood and that kind of thing. And they were like, okay, so they collected more evidence and say, okay, so now we think that this is the person that she had in the suitcase, right?
Yes.
So they go back to speak to Yoo-Jung and they told her what they found. And she immediately started to complain that she had a stomachache. Le duele la panza. So...
La conciencia.
I guess. She is under custody of police. So the police was like, okay, so they rush her to the emergency room. And when they got there... She
just needed to take a poop.
No, there was nothing wrong with her. She was lying. After all of that, they did bring her back and they started asking her questions again. They took her phone. So she wasn't being very honest, obviously. So they're like, we're going to start going through her phone because we don't know what
we're not getting
anything. And she's just lying out of her ass, you know? Here's the not weird, but the awkward thing of this phone was that there was no contacts in there.
So was it like a burn? Like a burner phone?
That was her phone. She didn't have any contacts. There was no text messages. She had not called anybody. Nobody had called her. She had no social media.
So what did she have on the phone?
It was just the phone. So, but she did have a few things that she would look up online, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I guess that's what she
had it.
Some of the searches that they found was like how to dispose of a body and a lot of...
The basic things that you find when somebody commits a crime and they want to know how to get rid of a body.
Yeah. And one of the questions that she asked was she wanted to know what it felt like to kill. And she was into the true crime books and shows and all of it. I mean, that's what she was consumed. So the investigators quickly found out that she was pretty much alone and she spoke to no one, Estela. No one. So they were looking into her background and they find out, obviously, because of the Korean laws, they don't give us her birthday, but she was born in 1999. So at this point, she's like 23.
She was young.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So she was younger than Tess.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then, because they don't have any reports on that, but her parents, when she was a baby, were always working. And at the small age of one, her mother actually left and left her with her dad. Mm-hmm. So her dad didn't know what to do. So he moved in with his dad. So now it was her and her grandfather and her dad. Mm-hmm. Not long after that, at the age of 6, her father was sent to jail.
Okay.
They don't really explain why he was in jail, but he was in jail for a very long time too. So
Ella se quedó con su
abuelo. So while being there, he had full custody. Like there was nobody else in the custody of
in the family.
Family.
Yeah.
So the thing is, that's very not common because usually you'll see that the grandparents move in with the parents or to help out or whatever. But for someone to have full custody like that, especially a grandfather, that's not very seen in Asia. So he did end up marrying another woman. So he had his step grandmother, I guess, and then herself and then her grandpa. She grew up as someone that was she self-isolated herself based on what her like peers at school would say. They just said that she would basically just walk around and never talk to anybody. If you would say hi to her or like try to talk to her, she'll completely ignore you like you didn't exist. She never answered anybody back. She would eat lunch alone. And then she never socialized. She never wanted to. And her neighbors reported that they never saw her leave the house. On top of that, no one ever visited her. And she would never go on walks. Like she would just be inside her house and she would leave for school and that was it. When they would ask her a question, all she would answer was yes or no. That's it. Like
no le pone atención a nadie.
No. She was never bothered by anything. She was never like, que tú digas, they got to a point where they would be like, she doesn't get mad. She wasn't upset.
She doesn't show any emotion.
No emotion. She was just like there, basically. And then there's reports that say that, I don't know how the translation of this was, but they would say that she would stand behind curtains. Like while I guess they were in class or something. Y luego, like all of a sudden they would hear her crunching back there. Like she was eating her snacks. Pero she was just, it wasn't like they couldn't see that she was behind the curtain. Like ahí estaba.
Like you could see her.
Pero según ella estaba escondida. I don't know.
That's so weird. I mean,
like if she was overwhelmed and stuff. Like,
because I know
that.
Sometimes there's cases where you're like, oh, they didn't really have any friends, but they had like one friend or something. Tan siquiera.
She had nobody.
Like no hablaba con nadie.
Nadie. Y si le hablaban, she wouldn't answer them.
Like,
so it wasn't like they didn't try. Like it wasn't lack of trying.
I just wonder what was going on at home.
Yeah.
Or what happened with her dad. Or if her mom leaving affected her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she graduated after a few years in 2018. At this point, now she's not leaving her house at all. Because now she used to have to go to school.
Yeah,
now she's not going.
Y todavía vive con su abuelo.
Y vive con su abuelo. And she doesn't speak to anybody. And she would tell her grandpa that she was studying for a competitive examination for the civil service exam. Now, this exam is a big deal in Korea. Because they have to take this exam, I guess, to see if you're capable of having or holding a job. I don't know. I guess that's a big deal.
They need to have that here.
But she said they said that's what she used as her excuse for 5 years. 5 years, she told her grandpa, no, es que I'm studying.
Estoy estudiando.
I'm studying. But her grandpa would just give her money and just kind of take care of her. Nunca le preguntó nada because if he would, she would just be like, I'm studying.
Yeah.
Like she never.
For 5 years?
For 5 years. So.
Pero como no causaba problemas.
No.
So a lo mejor se le hacía fácil nomás be like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So she didn't mess with anybody. She was just there.
She kept to herself.
Yeah. And then this exam was so important to take because her grandpa's probably like, dude, if she takes this exam, she's going to get a job.
Yeah.
Because that's what
they expect.
You're supposed to do. Yeah.
Especially at that age. I mean, you're out of school.
The only thing is that you must have a college level proficiency in English. Okay.
Oh.
So for you to even take the exam.
To prepare
for the exam. And Jung Yoo-Jung was not even close to being even a little bit proficient in it. I mean, in
English.
She
no
hablaba
con nadie.
No hablaba con nadie. So at one point she did apply. I read somewhere she did apply for like school and nobody accepted her at school. Pero I don't know how true that is. And then also for a job interview that she did apply for, and they did call her for the interview. And when she was called, she didn't say anything.
She just answered the phone?
Answered the phone, and the person was talking to silence. There was nobody there. So whenever they told her that she didn't get the job, she got mad.
Bitch.
Yeah. And she called them, and she called the company, and she started cursing them out.
Oh, para eso se abrió la boca.
So then she started cursing them out for not giving her the job. Yeah. And she kept asking, well, why didn't you give me the job? Why didn't you, like, really persistent on why they didn't give her the job. And the people were like, well, we didn't want to tell her that she was a weirdo or be mean to her. So they were just like, oh, we just didn't give you the job because you weren't proficient in English.
Yeah.
So because they were trying to get her because she was getting kind of out of hand there.
Yeah.
Somebody mentioned something in one of the stories that I read or that I heard. Like, let's say that you were go to the store and te faltaba un penny.
Sí.
Or your change was a penny. And then you're like, and the clerk is kind of like, oh, and you're like, no, don't worry about it. Just keep the penny.
It's a penny.
Not her.
She's like, you're going to give me my penny.
You're going to give me my penny.
I mean, there's some people like that. I get it.
And she would be like, but she would talk for that. Para defenderse, she would talk. Pero whenever she...
para estar rayándote la madre.
Yeah, porque she would cuss at them.
Yeah.
So it was speculated that that's what began the hate towards anyone that would speak English. And that's why Tess targeted the tutors of English. Excuse me, not Tess. That is why she targeted the tutors of English, Jung Yoo-Jung, because of the fact that
they spoke
English and she didn't. So this is when she joined the app and she contacted 54 tutors, Estela. 54. Asking them weird questions and stuff. So they were kind of like weirded out by her.
Y luego, pues, I bet you they just stopped responding because she was getting too odd in her questioning.
And then she would ask them, do you live alone? Or like, can you see my child in your home? And most of them were like, no. Like, this is why we meet up somewhere or whatever.
Yeah.
They had like specific places like libraries, that kind of thing where they can meet up. So most of the tutors would decline. And they were just weirded out by her questions. And they were like, no, thank you. It came to light that she had lured other potential victims from the app as well. She asked a young woman to meet her for a walk. And then when she did go walk to discuss the tutoring, there was too many people there. So she just left her standing there. And then this one was crazy to me because in addition, she tried to lure a teenage boy. Because remember, a lot of the people that are tutors are teenagers.
Or other students.
And to the same location, but the boy refused to meet her. He was like, nah, I'm good.
And even then, like, but I wonder if her intent was to cause them any harm. Because, yeah, you're asking a boy to meet you, but still, like, I would think that, like, a teenage boy te ganaría, you know, like...
Yeah.
You know?
Because she was only 4'11". So
she's tiny.
She's tiny. Yeah. She was only 4'11". I mean, maybe...
Imagine her...
Maybe hitting like 110 pounds.
Not even.
100 pounds.
Not even.
Yeah. So...
And imagine her stabbing Tess.
Yeah. Like with
over
the
100 times or 100 times. Oh my God.
When she was presented with this information about like trying to meet other... she stated that she did not kill Tess and that when she got there, Tess was already dead and that another man asked her to get rid of the body. And that person promised her that she could have Tess's identity. And that's what she wanted. So, yeah.
What a coincidence because this fell on your lap.
That's what she wanted. She just wanted the identity. So,
de Tess.
Tess.
Y que milagro que you just happened to run into somebody that had already killed her, pues.
And not only that you lied to her, telling her that you were bringing your supposed child. I don't know if police knew that yet, but yeah. At this point, it just sounded like she also wanted to kind of also talk to them about what she really wanted. She wanted to be like Tess. She wanted to be successful.
So it was kind of like a combination of two things, that she had hatred for the ones that could speak English, pero al mismo tiempo se obsesionó con... Because Tess was everything that she wasn't.
She wasn't, yeah, maybe. And then also, whenever they went through her phone, it looked like she had watched on repeat a movie it's a Korean thriller called Helpless. So it's a movie that is about a couple that after a while, the husband finds out that the wife is stealing other women's identities and then that she's a murderer. So they were thinking maybe that's what she was trying to... Yeah, de agarró, yeah. So is this what she wanted for her life? Like, did she want the identity of Tess? Is that why, in her mind, Tess was perfect and she wasn't? I don't know. I don't know what she wanted. But then she also told them that she accidentally killed her.
So cambió la historia.
Yeah. That they were fighting. Y que luego, I guess, Tess fell into her knife 100 times. I don't know. After this, they were like, well, we need to call her grandpa to see if maybe he can
shed some light or something into
or
anything.
Talk some like sense into her. And the grandpa came and he, pobrecito, he was so embarrassed, and he was like, please tell them the truth, tell them what happened. And she later on did make a full confession after she spoke to her grandpa. He then talked to the media, and he said that he felt like it was his fault, and that he had failed Korea because he had raised a killer. Yeah.
And I can't imagine, because it wasn't even just your granddaughter, your son, her dad.
Yeah.
Terminó igual.
Yeah.
For whatever crime he committed.
So when she confessed and was asked, why did you do something like this? She said that she just wanted to know what it felt like to kill. Yep. On June the 2nd, she was interrogated outside the court. So this was the biggest case that Korea had seen in a long time.
Or South Korea,
excuse me. And this was big. So it was everywhere. I mean, this thing was everywhere. Not only that, but she, I don't know, they do things differently over there.
Yeah,
so they brought her out, and, she was wearing a black hat, and she was standing there, and they have her standing there. People are taking pictures of her and asking her questions. And I guess waiting for her to answer, kind of like an interrogation, but with media. I don't know how that works. Because here it was not wouldn't have done that. So whenever she was out with the media, she did speak. And she said, and I quote, "I am really sorry to the victim and their family. I sincerely apologize to the victim and their family." And then they kept asking her questions. And then all she would say was, "I'm sorry." And then they asked her, "Why did you do this? Were you looking for a woman victim?" Kind of questions like that. And then she's like, "I guess I was out of my mind. I'm sorry." And then after another series of questions, she said, "I have nothing to say. I am sorry. I will diligently cooperate with the police." And then at the end, she says, "Thank you."
That's so,
So a lot of the psychologists would say that by her saying thank you, she would copy a way that other killers would talk whenever they respond. So that's what they I don't know. I guess that's what their theory was. Mm-hmm. On November 24th, after the trial, the court issued a verdict of guilty. She was guilty of homicide and abandonment of a corpse. Mm-hmm. And the judge ruled that Jung Yoo-Jung had no mental illness that prompted the murder, and that she actually was
sane,
and she carefully planned and executed the murder. Death penalty is offered in Korea, or in South Korea. Yes. And the prosecutor was they wanted her to die, but she was given life in prison with an eligibility of parole in 20 years, and she was going to wear a location tracker device for at least 30 years.
Damn.
The prosecution tried again and again because they're like, no, she needs harsher, right? On several occasions, they appealed, and they wanted her to get the death penalty. Since the death penalty had not been applied since 1997 in South Korea, but they wanted to go to a higher court and see if they can get, whatever verdict, it was. Yeah. So the petition was denied. The prosecution did not stop there and took it to the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. And they said, we want this for her to die. And the case was reopened in May of 2024. And it was announced on basis of her age and the fact that Jung Yoo-Jung had no background or another criminal background, that her sentence was justified on June the 13th of 2024.
So it was just going to stay as it was?
It was going to stay as it was.
It's so weird that I find it odd that no encontraron any type of mental illness.
Well, I read some, like I said, once again, we go back to the same thing. A lot of this was translated, so mistranslation a lot. But I did read somewhere that they did do a psychopathic test or something like that, and that she was barely like they could say a little bit
on the spectrum,
on the psychopath spectrum. And so that was the only thing that they could find. Everything else, they said no. Now, I found another story that kind of talked about this, but the way that this person presented, they're saying that her dad actually came out of jail, and that her dad told her, no, I don't want anything to do with you. And then that's why she had gone downhill. Then that's why she got into rage or whatever. And then she also, there's another place that I read that she told her dad that her grandpa, from jail, she tells her dad that her grandpa was abusing her, her grandpa and her step grandma, but the dad didn't believe it. And there was no evidence of that. like nobody ever, I mean, doesn't mean it didn't happen,
right?
Pero there was nothing like out there or stating. And like I said, once again, with the language barrier, and on top of that, like there's like so many different stories that, you know, you don't know where.
Like you see it once and you don't know, no lo vuelves a leer somewhere else. Or you're like,
so you're like, well, I don't know
did
about
this happen
that.
or no.
So that, and I went based on what I would see that was mentioned more than one time, because I want to make sure, I mean, at least it's a little bit correct, the translation, you know. And the one that was the biggest one that was kind of like, I'm not sure about her curtain thing. I was like, so maybe
what?
When she was hiding behind the curtains.
Yeah, pero estaba chiquilla, ¿no?
Well, she was already in high school.
Oh, it was in high school?
Yes.
I thought it was like elementary.
No. She was already in high school.
Sí, alguien así para mí no está bien de la cabeza.
No, obviamente. Pero, I mean, like I said, we don't know.
Or maybe you just have maybe you're just weird.
Well, no, you can be, like I said, maybe she was overwhelmed, overstimulated. Now there's so many ways that you can find if somebody has like some sort of spectrum, like you said, or anything. Pero maybe in South Korea, it's not the same. Like, I don't know. And I hope that she seemed like she was
She's so young, even now.
She was so young. She was so young. And like, I hope
but not even that, but like in the manner, like she just didn't stab Tess 5 times.
No.
Not 10 times. Not 20 times. Not 30 times.
I don't even have $100.
Not 3 digits, bitch.
3 digits. Not only that, pero también it was a big old...
Like, I'm surprised she didn't did she hurt herself too? Like, did she manage?
I'm pretty sure she did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Y luego también, like a lot of people were saying that the reason that she had done this was because she was listening to a lot of true crime. Pero, dude, I listen to a lot of true crime. A lot of us listen to a lot of true crime, and
you don't go out.
There's no reason why. I mean, unless you tell
start a podcast.
Yeah. Well, that, or you know, and
you have to go kill somebody. But I mean, that's why I'm like, I don't know. Everybody, the way you digest certain things, everybody takes it differently. You know, people handle things differently.
Exactly.
Like we're able to say, hey, that's really horrible. I'm not going to go out and do that, even though we consume a lot of true crime. So do a lot of other people.
Yeah.
But not everybody
sees
it that way,
and
you know?
People that listen to us or to anybody that talks about true crime, I mean, obviously, that doesn't mean that you're going to go, hopefully.
Well, like, you know, when like a lot of kids that, you know, grew up abused, you know, and end up abusing other people when they're older. But there's, I mean, other people that also grow up and are abused and don't go and abuse other people, you know? So
it's like you have to cut the
but mentally, not everybody is.
Exactly.
You know,
so then maybe she might have been like, the fact that she was very secluded from everybody, that she did that to herself, maybe depression. But I mean, it's just, I think that's what gave me the reason that I was like, so why? Like, okay, I get it.
Then deny everything. I mean, she says that she did it, but why?
Yeah, she just said, she said straight up that she wanted to feel like what it felt like to kill somebody. That's what she said. Pero, I mean,
imagine all the people that
¿Cómo no te dan ganas to feel how to
aprender
inglés or feel how it is to have a job or go to school or something? Porque eso.
Yeah, like you did all this work to get somebody to meet you when you could have put all that work into studying for your test.
And maybe not cussing people out and getting a job.
Maybe you would have been like a Tess.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because everybody can do it. It's not that. It was just that some other people are more...
I mean, you gotta have to put in the work.
Are more focused than others, obviously. But that is the case of Jung Yoo-Jung. And I'm sorry if I said that wrong. I apologize. I really did my research. I practice. Pero sometimes, you know, se me sale lo.
But she's a killer, so do we care?
Not really. Okay. And I feel sorry for, I don't know, Tess, whatever her name was.
Her real actual name. And her family.
Her family. I feel very sad. But you imagine the kid that was going to go meet her?
El niño se lo hubiera madrado, I hope.
Y si no hubiera sido por el taxi driver. Porque él se quedó con eso como que this is not right. Something is not right.
Yeah.
Y dice él que lo que más le llamó la atención es que why was she struggling with the suitcase? Then she wasn't struggling with the suitcase.
Right.
So then what was in there?
Yeah.
That was so important that you needed to drop off at 3 a.m.
And even then, you knew to cover it up because you're like, oh, I had a baby in there.
Yeah.
Lying ass.
And then they took her to the hospital, and then they did a whole test and like, girl, you didn't think that maybe she didn't know that they could check that. I don't know. Pero let us know what you think about this one. I hope that everybody has a wonderful day. If you would like to, please follow us on Instagram at
Cafecito and Crime Pod. And if you would like to follow us on YouTube, you can at our YouTube channel, Cafecito and Crime. It's audio only. You could also download our episodes, you can listen to us anywhere that you listen to podcasts. And if you would like to rate us, we would really appreciate it.
And we'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.